Well, hello. Whoa. Holy loudness, Batman. Well, I'm Joelle. Thanks so much for coming today. This was awesome. You guys were so much fun. We had weapons built, which was some of them work in very scary ways. So don't turn your backs on that table over there if you go to school with them, because they are scary and awesome. Like in 5 minutes, they had like things launching across the table and into boxes. I work with a lot of kids as they're going off to college. They're going through the college admittance process. They have to do their applications. They have to do auditions. When you are in theater or music, you have to audition for schools, not just get in by your grades, but you have to get into the program through an audition. And I teach voice students, and I work with them going through college. I had a student that was freaking out. She went through 11 auditions. 11! She was done. She was starting to hear some yeses from colleges, and they were her backup schools, some no's, and finally, she got a wait list. And I told her not to worry. The process was stressful. It was the most stressful I'd ever seen, but it was all going to be okay. Yeah, she didn't pay attention to the it's all going to be okay. All she could tell is that it's the most stressful she's ever seen. So then it became more tears, and oh my gosh, what's going to happen when my brother goes to college? It's going to be so much worse. And I said, it can't possibly get worse. And then I wanted to know what would be worse. How would it be worse to get into college? How could we make it more stressful? Because that's what every really nice teacher does. We take the most terrible moment in a student's life as they're crying and embarrassed that they're crying and freaking out about their future, and you turn it into a book series. So I did. I sat down and I wanted to know what would be worse. And I looked at all the testing that's going on right now, because I really don't like the way the education process has gone. Yes, we have to test you. We have to know whether or not you've studied. But there are all these state mandated tests that your teachers don't really like. And a lot of people feel really like these tests define who they are and what they're capable of. And I kind of wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about this awful test process, and I wanted to talk about how awful it is to get into school and how much harder every year it is. But as crazy as this world is right now, and I wanted to set this story in modern time, we're crazy, but we're not that crazy yet. I wanted life and death tests. I really wanted to, if we're going to make this stressful, I want to really make it stressful. So to do that, I had to decide, okay, well, I want to go to a university. What could be really stressful getting in? Well, if there's only one university, it would probably be really stressful to get in. And I knew I wanted to make it stressful. I also wanted her to make it like everybody who I meet. Most of my students are people who want to go off to college. They really believe they can change the world. So I created Sia, who is incredibly smart. She fixes things where I break them. And I wanted her to not know what was coming, because I think most of the time, none of us really know what's going to be in our future. We don't know what's going to be on a test. And I sent her off, and I wrote the testing. But I didn't really know what they were going to be about. All I knew was the themes that I wanted to do. I wanted the world's worst testing thing ever. To get into college, how bad can I make it? That's what I knew I wanted the first book to be about. I knew I wanted independent study then to be about when you get to college. That moment when you get there and you're only you. And then in graduation day, the only thing I knew about that book is I wanted it to be about graduation. About the fact that graduation doesn't make you an adult. No one can hand you a piece of paper and say, go forth and be responsible. Being a leader is about making tough choices. And I wanted Sia to actually grow into being an adult and realizing she had to make tough choices. And even though she hadn't been given the piece of paper that said, you are officially a leader, you have graduated, you are in charge, she had to decide if she was willing to actually step forward and do what was hard, even though nobody else might want to follow her. I wanted her to learn that being a leader didn't require a piece of paper. And that nobody also in the process, she learns, that nobody can test her and determine what she's capable of. Nobody can determine who's going to be the best leader by a test. Doesn't matter what the test says. Just as none of you can be defined by a test at all. Your potential is limitless. She learns that just about anything she wants to do, she can do if she puts her mind to it, if she works hard enough. And that's the case with all of you. There is no test that ever defines your potential. No matter how bad you do on a test, it doesn't mean that you can't, if you get a bad math grade, doesn't mean you can't be the next engineer. It just means you have to work harder at it. You are only defined by how hard you work and how passionate you are about something. Your potential is limitless, just like Sia learned that hers was and everybody else around her. No test ever defines anybody.